I think that trading is such a unique journey. It's kind of like your fingerprint. There's 8 billion people in the world and there's only one Michael. Like there's no one else that can match your fingerprint.
Yeah.
Trading, I find it the same way, really. Like if you talk to each trader, you're gonna find out that they all trade very differently. Like I truly believe that you have to eventually carve out your unique strategy. This is why I think trading cannot be taught. It can only be learned. You cannot teach this to someone. You can show them some principles and whatnot, but when it comes to really learning, you gotta really do it on your own. Like the strategy has to be unique to you. So scalping for me works the best.
Welcome everybody to another funded trader of Trader Pool. Today Mustafa is with me, a new funded trader with a Flex 25K, the new programs that we just launched. Thanks for coming, Mustafa. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Definitely. And you've been with us for a while now, right? You did a few attempts on different evaluations, and now that you passed it, let's start from the beginning. How does it feel?
Oh man, it feels amazing. In fact, I completed it yesterday. The day before, I came very close to completing the goal, but I had a setback. It's unbelievable what the mind can do. Like I was $47 away from the goal. This was the day before. Yeah. And I knew I was going to hit it, but I had a setback. So completely psychological. But then yesterday, I was able to come back and finish the challenge.
Yeah, I'm looking at your chart now, and we will share it in a second. It's really incredible, the fact that, and I've seen so many traders, we have thousands of traders. I've seen so many accounts of exactly as you said it, you're reaching, you're almost there, you're almost touching it, and then all of a sudden the psychology takes place, and in most cases you will lose a little bit until you can recover again. It's incredible.
It happens to many traders, right?
Many traders. It's called fear of success. When we're almost there and we already see ourselves touching that, but because we have some fear of, but once you're succeeding in something, you always need to keep it up, right? You always need to be at the top of your game. So a lot of us actually got a fear of doing that, reaching that success moment, because then we will need to continue to push ourselves and hold that success. So interesting, very interesting the way the mind works, right?
Exactly. It's really unbelievable. This is why I always say trading is 90% psychology, 10% edge, strategy, technicals, really.
Yeah, no doubt. So let's go and talk a little bit about that on the technical side, right? What is it that you are looking for, and what is your approach to the market?
Well, what I'm looking for, actually, this strategy that I have, it's taken me years to build. It's actually scalping. You can call it momentum trading as well. I've tried many strategies before. I've tried like swing trading. I've tried holding longer time frames. But scalping, I find it to be the most effective for me. So I think that trading is such a unique journey. It's kind of like your fingerprint. There's 8 billion people in the world and there's only one Michael. Like there's no one else that can match your fingerprint. Trading, I find it the same way, really. Like if you talk to each trader, you're going to find out that they all trade very differently. Like I truly believe that you have to eventually carve out your unique strategy. This is why I think trading cannot be taught. It can only be learned. You cannot teach this to someone. You can show them some principles and whatnot, but when it comes to really learning, you got to really do it on your own. Like the strategy has to be unique to you. So scalping for me works the best.
Why is that? Why is that? The scalping? Yeah,
I think because I haven't had successes in other strategies. Like in fact, in the beginning, I had a great success with
like investing.
Exactly, yeah. And then it was like 2 days, 2 weeks, or maybe even all the way up to a month. But it wasn't, I couldn't find consistency. So I switched to scalping, and then it works because I think that if you're really good at scalping, the market presents amazing opportunities every single day if you're a good scalper. So in terms of the stocks, like because this is a smaller size account, I went with the penny stocks. But eventually my goal is I'm going to go for the 200K account as well. And then for that account, I'm going to have to trade different stocks, like maybe large caps, like Nvidia, like Tesla or Microsoft, or you name it. But I'm also a short bias trader, meaning that majority of my trades are shorts. So, and then this is something that I adopted a while back. I don't know why. It just, for me, feels psychologically just better to short stocks, because at the end of the day, markets, the stocks always go down.
Yeah.
In fact, there's a famous saying in Wall Street, they always say when stocks, they go up, they take the escalator, but when they come down, they take the elevator.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good one.
Which is something true, especially in the last 4 to 5 days. If you've been paying attention, if you've seen the carnage on the NASDAQ, it's been brutal.
Yeah, the NASDAQ it's amazing time to see what the market is doing, especially as a trader, as a day trader. Let's dive a little bit deeper, because I know we have tons of scalpers either with us or just watching the videos and looking for that more information and want to hear from someone that actually managed to do that successfully. So what is it when it comes to scalping? When you're saying scalping, what exactly are you looking? Are you looking for patterns like flags or momentum patterns? What is it what is your fine tuning, let's call it? Or your
first and foremost is the list of stocks. Part of my strategy, or you can call it the part of the edge, is I tend to trade the same stocks over and over again. In fact, I keep like a 15 to 20 stocks on my watch list. And then let's say that Monday, when I open up the watch list, it's very possible that I'm going to be trading the same stocks throughout the whole week. Because this kind of gives me the edge, because now I'm more familiar with how they move. Because believe it or not, each stock is kind of different. We have some stocks that actually they just go straight up without a significant pullback. To name a few, MLGO is a ticker that I've traded recently. This stock went from $4 to $29. And then another one is GRRR. What's so typical about the stock is it just goes straight up before it crashes back down. So you gotta know your stocks. When it comes to trading and shorting these names, this is what I do. I try to keep a list of the same stocks and then just stick to them, because it gives more confidence to go in and trade these stocks, because I've been doing it for so long that I'm more familiar with how they move. So during the day, what I'm looking for is a sudden spike on any of these names. It takes quite a bit of patience, but without patience, you cannot make in this game, really. I remember days that in front of the computer, I can spend at least 2 hours without taking any trades. But I don't move. I don't go anywhere. I don't look at my cell phone. I don't check anything. I'm just laser focused on the market, laser focused on my watch list, and I'm waiting for that huge spike so that I can start shorting. So I would say any given day, you have about 5 to 10 opportunities a day. And then if you can capitalize even half of them, it's great. If you look at my data, you will see that my win rate is pretty high. Yeah. It's close to 70%. In fact, it's really funny, because my win rate is actually 80%. But then during this challenge, I made more gains than 1,500. But some of the stocks trades were canceled because of the 1 minute rule and because of the 10-cent rule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we are looking at your dashboard right now. So for those of you who are not familiar, every trader gets his own dashboard, and you can track your stats and of course see the progress and everything. You have a dark mode, a light mode. So this is it, basically the Flex 25K. So it's $25,000 of buying power you're trading with. And it's a flex, meaning it's flexible, no time limit on your evaluation. You can basically take your time until you reach the target. The target is 6%, so it's 1,500, max loss, daily pause, and this is basically the chart. And as you mentioned, Mustafa, it's 69% success rate, which is very good, with a very low risk-reward ratio, I gotta say. But I see that often when it comes to guys that doing scalping, because they have higher success rate and lower risk reward. and you managed to do everything that needed, reached all the objectives. And as you said, you are mostly a short bias trader, right?
Yes,
You
exactly.
have maybe 3 or 4 buy, like a long trade. Other than that, you shorting them. Small gains, but fast and pretty much consistency.
Yes, you're not gonna have like those gigantic gains, but those small gains add up. So you gotta keep your win rate really high. It's actually close to 80%, but like I said, some of the trades have been canceled. So
yeah, for the 1 minute rule, the 60 seconds and 10 cents. This is your certificate, of course, under achievements. Each trader gets his certificate. You can all share it on social media, and we have a large Discord group as well. And let's continue to talk about scalping, because I know the guys that listen in right now really want to ask some questions about it. So
sure.
I'll try to nail the questions. So scalping, high success rates, lower risk reward, doing it in very consistency way. What about the stocks? You mentioned that you found that you need to have the right stocks to trade on, right? How do you find them? What are you looking for exactly?
You need to find not the right stocks, but the familiar stocks. You have to build your own list. And my suggestion would be get a list of stocks and then trade them over and over again. Like if you're going to trade, because I've done most of the small caps in this one because of the account size. But there are stocks within there that, like, if I traded a stock on Monday, it's very possible that I traded the same stock on either Wednesday and Thursday as well. So like that's just part of the strategy that I follow. And then from time to time, I add new stocks to the list because I always watch the pre-market action. And it's extremely important that you have to prepare. You have to do your preparation. I would say if you're an experienced trader, 1 hour before market opens, you should do it. I also suggest traders to avoid pre-market trading because volume is extremely thin, and the best would be just wait until the open and then start trading. So, and here's the interesting, Michael. My win rate is close to 80%, but it's only from 9:30 until 1:30. After 1:30, if I keep trading, my win rate plummets to 20%.
Wow.
Exactly. So I used to I tried so hard to fix this problem. How many days, I cannot even tell you, I made gains in the morning, gave them all up in the afternoon. So as a golden rule, I established a rule, which was I'm not going to trade after 1:30.
That's super important because those rules will actually define at the end if you will become profitable and if you can push yourself more, because understanding your data, as you mentioned, you're tracking your data and really finding that when the market, maybe, it's a lunch break or whatever it is that causes it, at the end of the day, if you see that you're not working properly at some hours or different stocks or different times a day, whatever, then this is your moment to say, you know what, I'm done. I'm out.
Exactly.
Let me close the computer and that's it. So tracking that and then getting that thumb rule when you're saying I'm not trading more than 2 hours a day, for example, that will definitely reduce the losses and eventually bring you profits. So that's super important. And let me ask you, Mustafa, about the watch list that you mentioned. You find those stocks. Are you looking for also fundamentals regarding those stocks, or are you only looking for technicals?
Only technicals. Fundamental side, you got to get the story right. For example, like if I see something spiking 90% pre-market, you got to know what's going on. Like you got to get the fundamentals right, because why is this stock spiking so high today? You got to do your research and understand what's causing it, and then determine if it's overdone or there is more room, like this stock could run. And then you got to take a look at the 5-year chart as well. Sometimes there is no news. When stock is up 100%, there is no news. It's probably short covering. So you got to do the fundamentals, but then once you add them to your watch list, for example, I always look for, if I see a stock that spikes on the first day, 100%, 200%, I always keep it on the list for the continuation of the trade, meaning that I always look for the first red day, because these are great days to short.
Well, that's also a great tip. So basically looking for those pops, and then once you see the red day, you know, this is your moment to start tackling it.
Exactly.
Nice. And are you using any indicators to understand where
support and resistance is the only thing I use, because for me it doesn't work. Like, I don't see the point of using Fibonacci retracements or MACD or MAC, all these moving averages. To me, it doesn't make sense. For me, it's all about price action. In fact, I don't really spend that much time looking at the chart either. I'm glued just on the movements in the stock, the difference between the price. It's all about price action. Support and resistance is the only thing I use for technicals. And then mid-mornings breakouts is another thing that you have to be mindful of, especially around 11 o'clock, 11:30. You have these very huge, vicious spikes. So when you're going to short the stock, you got to be extremely mindful of this, because some of these penny stocks do this. So you got to be prepared. So it's not just the technicals, but it's also, you have to take into consideration the time of the day. Like 9:30 at the open, the 30-minute window is very different than 11:30 to 1 o'clock. So all these time frames, the stocks trade differently. And then, of course, years of experience, you really gain this kind of sort of an intuition, and then to know how these stocks are going to move in depending on the time of the day. This is why I can never figure out the afternoon session. Like, there is no way. And in fact, I had just given up, which is okay. I don't have to trade the whole day. I don't want to look at the charts. I don't want to trade after 1:30, period.
Nice. And you mentioned intuition. How long does it take to find that, or, you know, build that intuition when you're actually looking at the chart? You feel it in your gut, right?
I would say it depends on the person, of course, but at least it's going to take you close to 5 years.
Well,
I think that anyone that's starting new, it's going to take them 5 years minimum just to break even. It's going to take another 5 years to actually become a consistent, profitable trader.
Yeah.
You're not going to do this in 2 years. If you think you're going to do this in half a month or 2 years, you're in for a big surprise, my friend.
I do see, I got to say, and this is because you've been in the game for a long time, and myself as well. So we kind of used to the regular trading with a broker and everything. But I do see, and that's incredible, guys that been trading with us, not on their broker, that actually making a profit after even 6 months of being in the game. And this is something very unique and really mind-blowing to see traders that don't have a lot of experience, but because of the boundaries, the risk boundaries, right, the risk management around it, and enough buying power to trade with, they can actually making it. What do you feel about that?
Well, they can make it, but the point is not to make it. The point is to stay in the game. You know, passing the challenge doesn't really matter that much. What matters is, can you keep it? Can you keep the consistency? Let's face it, trading, we all know, is extremely difficult.
Yeah.
Prop firms, even more difficult. Passing the challenges with these prop firms, even more difficult, because there are very strict rules, which are actually great for traders, especially the maximum daily loss limit rule, which is the best thing that's ever happened. And then, but you know, all these traders, like, if you have 6 months of trading, you pass the challenge. I want to know if the same trader still trades that funded account after 6 months. That's something that I would be interested in. I'm not interested in a trader who's been trading for less than a year, and in the second attempt passes the evaluation and then starts trading a funded account. I want to see 1 year after he passes the evaluation, is he still trading the same account? That's what I want to see.
This is a very good question, and obviously we are tracking the data. We do have guys, like you said to me earlier, that you watched many of the videos, the funded videos. For example, Morgan, one of our funded traders, she's been with us for, I'm guessing, a year and a half now. And yeah, she's been killing it.
Amazing.
And it's amazing to see that. On the first interview, she told me she's been trading for 6 months. And
oh my God,
I was shocked. And she's still running with it. That's incredible to see.
Unbelievable. Very rare, extremely rare. And all the power to her, man. Very, very good. really, but it's extremely difficult to pull off, you know?
No doubt, no doubt. And you know, so you've been around for a while. Have you seen? Let's talk a little bit maybe about the market today. You know, have you seen a market like this before, like on Corona time, the COVID, maybe 2008?
No, I haven't. In fact, I started trading part-time in 2010, and I did that part-time for 2 years. In fact, at the time I was living in China. So if you live in Asia, it's very easy to trade the US markets because markets open at 9:30 p.m. So if you work during the day and try to learn day trading, it's a great place to be because you can still do your job and learn day trading at the same time. So I started as a part-time, and about 2013 or so, I became full-time because it was too much. Working during the day, coming home, sit down in front of the computer and trade until 3 o'clock. So I had to make a decision, and I went with trading full-time. I've never seen anything like this. In the last 3 days, like the Nasdaq dropped like 15%.
Yeah.
The only time I saw was, it wasn't that close. During COVID, I saw one time the circuit breakers. You know, you have all the circuit breakers for individual stocks. If the stock moves 10% up and down within less than 2 minutes, the Nasdaq halts trading, right? The trading gets halted.
Yeah.
This happens to individual stocks, but I had never seen this happen to the entire market. Like during COVID time, if you remember, for 10 minutes, S&P was halted. Nasdaq was halted for like 10 minutes because the markets, the rule is if it's 7% rule, up and down. If the market moves 7%, they will halt. But
I say you mentioned 2010. If I'm not mistaken, in May 2010, we had the flash crash.
Yes, the glitch. Yes, I remember. Yeah.
It was a crazy, I remember I'm sitting in front of the computer watching Apple and SPY, and all of a sudden, one big move to the downside. It was crazy.
Yes, I remember that too. I remember like Apple went to $1 or something like that.
It's an incredible time.
Yeah.
Mustafa, I had a great time. Thank you very much for sharing everything.
Yes, Michael. One last thing.
Yeah, for sure.
I think, you know, the only difference between traders who are consistently profitable versus the ones who are not, the ones who are profitable didn't give up. That's the only thing. If there's a trader out there who is thinking about throwing the towel or has already quit, you can't quit, man. You can't take a break, but you got to roll up your sleeves, get back in the game. 100%. I think that there's a mismatch between our expectations and our skill set. The problem happens because our expectations do not align with our skill set. So once you make this adjustment, you're going to see a tremendous growth in your trading. So my suggestion is that reduce your share size, traders. You're going too big. The only reason, if you look at my history, I've tried many attempts. Why did I pass this time? In fact, the most difficult time for the market, like in the middle of this whole chaos, I was able to pass. The only reason because I reduced my share size significantly. And then I stopped trading after 130, which is my golden rule for myself. So you gotta keep them aligned, your expectations and your skill set.
100%. You said it perfectly. And also, you know, just the fact, like I said, just the fact that you're tracking your data, understand what's working and what's not, and never give up. I see so many traders that they did similar to you. You know, they did a few attempts, 3 times, 5 times. Even I saw a few traders made 10 attempts, and on the 11th one they passed. And that's what's incredible about the motivation of a person, and really, you know, just seeing that the guy is all in and he's going to do whatever it takes to pass the evaluation and become a funded trader. So that's amazing.
Yeah.
All right.
Don't ever give up.
100%.
Michael.
Guys that want to check us out, go to traderpool.com. Thanks so much, Mustafa, for coming, and we'll be in touch. Take care.
Bye-bye.